The Gripen E operates with a new agile architecture system, which allows the aircraft to be upgraded with new tactics and new capabilities seamlessly.
What we designed the system for is actually to be able to withstand the extreme max in terms of cold, so minus 40, minus 45.
10,000 research and manufacturing jobs could land in Canada if Ottawa adds the Swedish fighter jet to its military fleet.
The Gripen E is built around a newer, more agile architecture that's meant to evolve without the usual drama and downtime. Instead of treating upgrades like a major rebuild, Saab designed the jet so new tactics, new sensors, and new capabilities can be added in a smoother, more plug-and-play way. The idea is simple. Air combat changes fast, so the aircraft has to change fast too. And it's not just about software. The platform is engineered to keep working in harsh conditions that would punish a lot of other systems, including extreme cold. Saab's people have talked openly about designing it to handle the kind of temperatures that make ordinary logistics painful, like minus 40 to minus 45. That matters when you're talking about operating in places where winter isn't a season, it's a lifestyle. But what really pulled the Gripen back into the spotlight isn't just the engineering pitch. It's the way this aircraft keeps upsetting expectations whenever it gets thrown into serious training environments. For years, the Saab JAS 39 Gripen sat in the shadow of bigger, louder names. In defense conversations, it was often treated like the smart budget option, a jet for smaller countries that need to patrol airspace and keep costs under control. A practical aircraft, yes, but not the one you'd expect to embarrass heavyweight fighters in demanding exercises. That perception didn't come from nowhere. On paper, the Gripen looks easy to underestimate. It's single-engined in a world where people love to associate twin engines with survivability and brute strength. It doesn't carry the same internal fuel as heavier rivals. It can look light on certain comparison charts, especially when people start stacking payload numbers and range figures like that's the whole story. And Sweden, for a long time, didn't have the kind of combat track record that creates a myth around an aircraft. No flashy war footage on the news, no decades of coalition operations where the jet gets photographed in dramatic sunsets over conflict zones, no political machine pushing it as the symbol of an alliance. Meanwhile, the Gripen's competitors had powerful reputations that almost marketed themselves. The F-15 built a legend as an air superiority machine. The F-16 became the workhorse of modern air forces across multiple continents, used in real conflicts again and again. The Eurofighter Typhoon carried Europe's industrial muscle and Cold War-era top-tier branding. Add the F-35 into the mix, and you've got a platform that isn't just a jet, it's an ecosystem. Stealth, sensors, data fusion, and deep integration with the United States and partner nations. Against that lineup, the Gripen was easy to label as good, but not that good. Then it went to Red Flag Alaska, and the comfortable story started wobbling. Red Flag is designed to strip away the easy assumptions. It's not a friendly fly past or a casual training week. It's meant to pressure test aircraft and crews in scenarios built around modern threats, electronic warfare, limited support, shifting objectives, and the kind of complexity that forces mistakes into the open. When Sweden brought Gripens into that environment and put them on the red team, the adversary role, expectations outside Sweden were not exactly glowing. The opposition included highly respected aircraft and pilots trained to elite standards. And yet, Swedish sources credited the Gripens with a striking result early on: 10 air-to-air victories on the opening day, with 0 losses, including reported kills against an Eurofighter Typhoon and multiple F-16s, supposedly achieved without being detected. One story that really made people sit up was the claim that a single Gripen pilot in a close-range engagement took down 5 F-16s alone. Now, to be clear, the U.S. Air Force did not publicly validate those exact figures. Exercises are complicated, and public messaging around who beat who is often carefully handled. But even without official confirmation, the broader point still landed. The Gripen performed well enough to force a second look. If the jet was truly just a lightweight border patrol fighter, it wasn't supposed to be creating stories like that in one of the world's most respected training arenas. So how does a jet like this punch above its weight in scenarios that are specifically designed to expose weaknesses? A big part of the answer is that modern air combat isn't always about who has the biggest engine or the most missiles. It's about what you see, what you share, and what you can do before the other side understands what's happening. In Alaska, Swedish tactics leaned hard on networked fighting. Instead of every aircraft blasting radar and lighting itself up like a beacon, the formation could work as a coordinated system. One aircraft would briefly use its radar, gather the picture needed, and then share that data instantly through a strong data link. The others could stay quiet electronically, reducing their signature while still having a clear view of the battle space. That kind of approach changes the whole dynamic. The fight becomes less about one jet acting alone and more about a team acting like a single, distributed sensor and shooter network. That's also where the Gripen's philosophy starts to make sense. It wasn't designed as a glamorous look-at-me jet. It was designed around a national strategy: protect a large airspace with limited resources, operate from dispersed bases, keep turnaround fast, and maintain a high tempo without bleeding money on every flight hour. In real life, reliability and sortie generation matter as much as headline performance. If you can get the jet in the air consistently in all weather and keep pilots flying enough to stay sharp, you build a kind of advantage that doesn't show up in simple brochure comparisons. If you're enjoying this breakdown of why the Gripen keeps surprising people and what it could mean for Canada's future fleet, take a second to subscribe to the channel. This topic is bigger than one exercise scorecard, and staying subscribed means you won't miss the follow-ups as the political and military pieces keep moving. The skepticism didn't stop after Alaska, though. Critics pointed out, fairly, that exercises aren't wars. Scenarios can be designed in ways that favor certain strength. Reporting can come from one side more than the other, and nothing simulated can fully replicate the chaos and consequences of real combat. But then another set of results added weight, because they weren't just Swedish bragging rights. Norway, a NATO country with pilots trained to NATO standards, flew engagements involving their F-16s against Swedish Gripens. These weren't internet rumors in a comment section. They were publicly discussed outcomes from a credible partner. In a series of engagements, the Gripens reportedly achieved very strong results across multiple rounds, including rounds where Norway scored little to nothing. Again, context matters. Familiarity with environment, training objectives, and scenario design all play roles. Still, the pattern was hard to ignore. The Gripen wasn't just doing okay, it was repeatedly showing that in the right tactical framework, it could be a serious problem for aircraft that many people automatically ranked above it. Then the story changed again when Sweden's strategic posture changed. For centuries, Sweden maintained neutrality and stayed outside NATO. That shaped how the Gripen was seen, a national defense tool for a country that wasn't regularly deploying into alliance combat operations. But Sweden's entry into NATO fundamentally shifted that. Suddenly, the aircraft wasn't just an interesting Scandinavian solution. It became part of the alliance structure, flying missions under NATO command and operating in real-world conditions shaped by real geopolitical tension. Gripen deployments tied to NATO air policing, including operations connected to the Baltic region, carried a different kind of credibility than training exercises. Intercepts, patrols, and real readiness cycles test aircraft and crews in a way that scripted training can't fully copy. The point isn't that every mission proves the jet is the best in the world. The point is that it proves the platform can integrate, show up, and do the job consistently inside a high-stakes operational environment without falling apart under the workload. Now bring Canada into the picture, and the whole debate gets sharper. Canada's fighter replacement isn't just a shopping list decision. It's one of the most consequential defense choices Canada can make because it shapes everything: how Canada covers massive distances, how it defends the Arctic, how it cooperates through NORAD, how it contributes to NATO missions, and what kind of aerospace capacity it builds at home. Ottawa has already committed to buying F-35s and has started taking deliveries. The F-35 offers stealth, advanced sensors, and a deep integration with the United States and partner nations. For expeditionary operations, deep strike, and operating in heavily defended airspace, stealth and sensor fusion matter a lot. But politics and economics never stay quiet in a procurement story this big. When trade tensions rise, when tariffs get threatened, when strategic dependence starts feeling uncomfortable, alternatives suddenly look less hypothetical and more urgent. That's where Saab's offer becomes interesting beyond the aircraft itself. Saab has talked about a deal that doesn't just deliver jets, but builds them in Canada with serious industrial involvement. Not a token assembly line, but a real production footprint, plus the kind of technology transfer that many countries want but rarely get in full. Saab's pitch has included the idea of transferring enough control that Canada wouldn't be stuck waiting for external permission to modify or integrate future systems. And it's not just about the fighter. Saab has tied the conversation to airborne wide-wanding platforms like GlobalEye, which changes the equation, because air defense is not only about fighters, it's about seeing first and coordinating the fight. Canada shares some realities that matter more than people admit. Large territory, harsh climates, dispersed operating demands,